Welcome to the next Structured for Success Business Mastery Work. My name is O'Leary Logan. I'm the head coach at Renaissance Works. And today I want to talk about a very important aspect of running your business or your business professional. And that is about making a plan. Whether you're at the beginning of the year or in the middle of the year, even if you have a plan already and you've done it before and again every year, listen to this webinar and pull away some gems that you can use to make your plan even better. And of course, if you don't have a plan, you want to listen to this. So wherever you are on the spectrum of planning, take a piece of paper right now and a pencil and use this webinar as a way to learn and to improve what you're doing in life and especially in business. So take notes, and at the end, you'll have some business mastery work. Let's talk about why, first of all, why it's so important to have a plan. I love this quote by Zig Ziglar, who's no longer with us, but he had some great quotes in this quote here. A ship leaving harbor with no destination will never get there. Have you ever taken off or done something in business, you didn't have a plan and you got lost about halfway through? That happens often. It used to happen to me a lot until I started making a plan. Another great advantage of having a plan, as General Eisenhower said in World War II, is a plan prepares your mind for the unexpected. It actually gets you back on course. So let's continue on here and let's talk about some outcomes for this webinar, which is going to be around 20 minutes. And first of all, about planning, what do you need with a plan is outcomes. So we're going to eat our own cooking here and talk about some outcomes. But we're talking about some planning basics that's going to go beyond the SMART goals. And we're also going to talk about having some action, you having some action as you leave this webinar. Nothing gets created but through action. Thinking is great, discovery is great, and you want to move your feet toward the outcome you want. And resources. So today, I'm going to give you some resources, things that I've coached other professionals on for the past 20 years that have actually moved them forward. So a good way to prepare for this is go beyond what you already know and put on your thinking cap and expect a breakthrough around planning today. So first of all, I love to land into the detail. Where does planning fit? Well, here's a schema about like how business is, whether you have a mom pop business or you're a solopreneur or a small business owner or you're a Fortune 500 company. This is how companies broken out to. You have below the line, the dash line there, and above the dash line. So below the line, you'll see the three traditional areas, which is marketing and sales, operations, and back office, or as we like to say, the sell it, do it, or care for it area. And you actually want to be operating in this area about 80 to 90% of the time. Especially I'm talking here to business owners, small business owners, is that small business owners tend to wear a lot of hats. But you notice up there at the top it says strategic thinking, and you want to spend at least about 10 to 20% of your time strategically thinking about where your business is going. You want to work on your business above the line versus in your business below the line. And so above the line, we call it the lead it area. And that's where planning goes, along with other skills that you as a business owner need, negotiating, writing, maybe putting together a webinar right now. This webinar right now is actually in the lower left-hand side, the sell it area. This is a marketing area. So let's start with the essentials. And it doesn't matter what sport, what profession you're in, you ask any professional and they say the essentials, the essentials. So let's talk about the essentials. And I broke it down into 5 questions. Where are you going? Who's going to go with you? How will you get there? So some great resources there. By when will you get there? It's always important to know. And then my favorite one is what will you do when you get stuck? Now, you may be listening to this at your home or driving your car, but just raise your hand right now if you've ever been stuck in business, in life, or in putting together a plan. So I'm going to talk about those essentials right now. And I want to begin by working on number 1. Where are you going? So often I've talked to other business leaders and I ask them, what is the vision for your business this next coming year? And a lot of people respond, oh, I want to make more money. Well, that's actually a result of the vision that they have. And so let's begin with this question. What is most important to me for this year, at the beginning of the year, in the middle of the year, for the next 3 months? Perhaps you have a project or something you really want to focus on this next month. And then specifically, what is most important to me? What is most important to me in my business, in my profession? And what you want to do is take about a minute or so. Maybe something is coming up right now. Just write it down really quick. If you're driving, just speak it out. Say, for instance, specifically, what's most important for you is to have energy to actually create more value for your clients so you have a higher income. So how do you have more energy? You eat right. You take care of yourself. You're healthy. As our first Postmaster General said, Benjamin Franklin, first wealth is health. So you want to get clear on what's most important for you because everything gets aligned with that. I want to make a couple of distinctions here around that. First of all is a distinction of outcome versus goal. Now, we've all heard goal, we've heard of SMART goals, and SMART goals are definitely better than dumb goals. And I was youthful at one time in my life and I had dumb goals. But I want to focus more on outcomes versus goals. When I hear people speak about goals, what I hear is that they give a nod toward what they'd like to do, what they want to do, what would really be cool, or what they want to try. Outcome, notice if you say, this will be my outcome. So the previous slide said, what's most important to me is getting rid of some weight. I want to be more healthy. By the end of the year, my outcome will be. Notice how you hold that differently and say, well, I'd like to do this. Which brings us to our second bullet is outcome versus resolution. And many of you have heard New Year's resolutions. Did you know that about 87% of people stop their New Year's resolution or break them within a few weeks of January 1st? Now, you may be part of that 87%. Imagine that. That's a huge failure rate. And the reason why is because resolution is actually tied to the meaning to fix it. So you want to resolve something, you want to fix it. Well, the good news is that there is nothing that needs fixing with you. You may find that an odd conversation, but there's nothing that needs to be fixed with you. You're perfect. You have all the resources to actually have the outcomes that you want. So outcome, again, refers to actually directed action. Let's talk about the next distinction. It's like working as a subset of living. In our 24/7 wireless society, it seems like your phone's are always buzzing, people are sending texts. You need to set aside a time or a framework such that work is inside of living. The reason why I put this bullet down is because someone said to me the other day, it really got me thinking, because I do a lot of work. I love what I'm doing. But he said, work, I work to live. I don't live to work. So his work is designed so that he has more time to live. So that's a different mindset to have, having the larger circle is your life, what you're living, and then actually doing the work. I don't think anybody wants to spend 18 hours a day living to do PowerPoint slides for 40 years. So work to live. Work as a vocation. In other words, what are you great at? What do you do so well that you love that it actually becomes you're called into this as a mission, as a purpose for other people, which brings vision and mission as another distinction, because vision is really about, it can be often about attaining a goal, or it could be a never-ending goal. I love the vision and mission for a gentleman many years ago called Walt Disney in Southern California, when he said, I'm committed to make the happiest place on earth. And what's his mission statement for that? His mission statement still to today for his cast members, his employees, is make people smile. What does it take to make people smile? Whatever it takes to make people smile. So that's the mission. So what is your vision and your mission? such that every time you contact someone that's a prospect or a lead or a client, that they totally get it about you. So given what I've said so far, we want to talk about some major outcomes, your top 3 major outcomes. What are they? They can be personal. They can be um, around your company. Maybe you want to implement a new software, or perhaps you want to shift the culture in your company such that, as a leader, such that you can influence others to think differently about you. And you think about the companies that are not dynamic and being able to shift how people think about them, they'll become stagnant. So there's a lot of companies. As a matter of fact, the statistic that said about 80% of companies that start today will be out of business in 5 years because they're not adapting. So what are the 3 major outcomes that you have? I mentioned for myself that one of the top ones is health. To have the actual energy to reach out to people and to maneuver past a no when someone has an objection to a sales, and to actually help people move forward. Consider that everything you want is outside your comfort zone, and you get to work rigorously to actually have that. Number 2, who's going with you on this journey, on this vision and mission? So nothing gets created by action, and the most powerful way to actually create things is to have a team around you. So it could be the team members that you lead, it could be your department manager, it could be I could be speaking to. There is a lot of family-owned businesses where the spouses work together to move forward the business. So your spouse could be the person that's going to be involved in the outcomes. The persons that will be involved with the outcomes. So start listing them out or speaking them out. It could be clients. It could be vendors. Perhaps you're changing something with your organization that you need to educate your vendors about so you don't lose time. It could be social media, crowdsourcing. So who's going to go with you when you're talking about your vision, about your mission, and what's important to you? Little distinctions around there, as I mentioned, inviting others into your vision. So I know we've heard a lot about great leaders, individuals, but they had entire teams. Pop in my mind, Apple Computer. A lot is attributed to Steve Jobs, but he even said, it's like I'm just one person, and the hundreds of thousands of people around me is what makes this product work. So creating your story, a distinction around who's going to go with you. Is your vision magnetic or sticky enough that people go like, hey, yeah, I want to go with what you're saying, or I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say as you're actually promoting your wares. Write out how you would lead others. Writing makes it real. Writing crystallizes your thinking. And writing actually makes it possible to delegate to other people. Say for instance, you're looking to bring on other salespeople to help you out. Well, you need to write down exactly what they're going to be selling, how they're going to say it. Now, they can help you with that, but the clearer that you are, the clearer that others that you will lead will be. So you want to write it out. Let's talk about the third distinction. How will you get there? And the key word around how is really about the mechanics. What do you do well that will help you get there? And so here's a good question. What I'm great at is, just answer this question, not out of egotism, but just say, what am I great at? What do I do so well, so naturally that other people know me for this? And what do you do so well? My business partner, Karen, who has her best-selling book, Structured for Success, which this whole series is based on, she is so well with structure. She can go into a team, into a company, and she can actually see the missing spots. She can see the points of uncertainty and actually address them and put structure to them, structured thinking and writing and diagram to help people think. She is excellent with structure. And I have my other gifts, but together we actually create an awesome team. So think about what you're really great at. And if you're not clear about that, why don't you interview some of your current clients about why they buy your product and to help you really formulate, if you don't already know, what your unique selling proposition is. That's another way of looking at what you're great at, what's your unique selling proposition. So let's talk about the other side of the coin. What you're really great at will support your vision, and also what you're weak at, or what you don't do well, what you don't like doing, is the other side of the coin, which will help you support your future too. Because what you do is you identify those things that you can delegate out. One of the first rules of the leader is identify what you can delegate out. A general theme is you delegate your weaknesses. Now, I don't like working with numbers too much as far as finance, and so I delegate that out to my CPA, to the person's coming out here. Now, it doesn't matter that in my previous life, I have a minor in mathematics at the university. I just don't like working with those numbers. But the lady who comes in, she just loves it. She's really strong at it. She doesn't miss anything. And so her strength, my weakness is actually her strength, and I delegate it out. What is your weakness, and what are other people's strengths that you can delegate out? It doesn't mean you have to abdicate your responsibility, but you can actually delegate out your weakness. So let's talk about some how strategies. Remember, this question is about how will you get there. So some how strategies. Well, you delegate your weakness. Another one is reverse engineer your outcome. How can I figure out a strategy for my plan? Well, reverse engineer your outcome. So think about if this was the beginning of the year, where you would be in 11 to 12 months. And say, for instance, you're actually sitting with your colleagues at your favorite coffee shop, Coffee Bean or Starbucks, and you're telling them exactly what happened. We say, I'm just going to make this up here, but say, we increased our revenue by 50K. So how did you do that? You reverse engineer. So actually take your mind to a year from now, if it's the beginning of January, or 6 months from now, and think about, okay, so I'm going to increase my revenue, or I'm actually going to be more productive in this area, and reverse engineer it. So in December, I did this. In November, I did this. In October, I did this amount. And you keep reverse engineering it till you break it down to a month or to a week, or figuring out how many extra calls and products you need to sell each day. So, if you look up at the top of a mountain, the mountain is really big to climb, but if you just knock it out step by step, it's a lot easier. Modeling other people's success. And so, you don't have to figure it out. Get into a mastermind group, find out who else is doing what you're doing or where you want to go, and model their success. Interview them. Take specific actions every day. Take actions every day. I can't say it enough. Most people give up just before they succeed. So take actions. Make it a point. Here's a world-class activity every day. Every day, take 2 specific actions on your vision. Change your language. How often have you complained, blamed, or justified your position, and you just everything is doom and gloom? Change your language. The brain is fantastic. Whatever you tell it, it will actually consider and move forward. So be encouraging. Be appreciative of the people who work for you. Listen. Consider learning every day. Even waking up with a world-class question saying, what can I learn today that will actually move me forward toward the outcome I'm committed to? Stay in line. This is a good one. A lot of people look for the silver bullet or the shiny penny out there that's going to save their company, that's going to save their day, as opposed to working it and sacrificing in the work, as opposed to having play to make the success that you're committed to. That's enough said on that. I could go on that so much. So I want to talk about some distinctions around that, about the how is taking on a new mindset. And here's a little graphic. Instead of thinking it's impossible or I can't do it, I'm going to try to do it, say, hey, it is possible. I'm able to do it. The fact that you're listening to this webinar right now tells me that you have a success mindset and that you're willing to learn and that you're willing to take action. That's going to be one of your mastery work or homework. Mastery work is to take action. How many times have you asked people to buy your product straight up and they just say no and you give up at that point? I know I have in the past, but now I frame no as really the acronym for new opportunity instead of know me, bad me, know my product, or it's just new opportunity. People aren't ready to buy yet. They might be ready to buy tomorrow. They might be ready to buy in a month. No means tell me more. I'm sort of confused. So think about having a new mindset because business out there is a rigorous activity. And business is an intellectual sport. And so you really need to set up your mind, set up your game. And this is part of setting up your game, making a plan so that you could win at the intellectual sport called business. Attitude, so important around attitude. Sometimes attitude, that choice of the attitude you take on based on whatever happens, will really determine your future. I have a friend of mine, George, and many years ago, he was very overweight. He weighed well over 400 pounds, and it had nothing to do with food and everything to do with his mindset and how he related to himself. And he actually, he's a coach now, and he shared with me some action, some new language about how he was able to drop over 200 pounds in about 18 months. And he said, you know what? My weight served me a purpose, and now I'm just going to release my weight. I'm not going to lose weight because people tend to want to find what they lost. I'm going to release my weight. It served a purpose, and now I'm going to let it go. So along that line, what is it in your business, in your life, or maybe there's some tolerations around your company, a stack in the corner that's every time you look at it, it totally annoys you? What is living rent free in your head such that if you engage it now, that you can actually release it? And that releasing creates a space so that you can actually move toward your outcome so much faster. Nothing gets completed if it wasn't for the last minute. Getting it done is so important. So, part of the mastery work, I'm going to add something here right now, is plan to take care of something that you can release today. It could be a phone call, it could be a stack, it could be something that you've been hanging on to it, and you're just going to get rid of it. You're going to give it to somebody else who might need it, or you might just get rid of it, or you might immediately sell it on eBay, something like that. So this leads us actually to number 4, which is, when will you get it done? I love that quote. Nothing would ever get completed if it wasn't for the last minute. And you think about all these major projects, say building a building in New York, or putting together the space shuttle, or even small projects. When they put out there, say for instance, my friend George, again, he wanted to run a half marathon. Well, when he wanted to run that half marathon, the people who were in charge of the half marathon didn't say, we're going to wait, George, until you're ready. No, there was a last minute. We're starting now, and he got to be ready. So how can you leverage this for yourself? Think about your outcomes. When will each of them be done? Will there be intermediate objectives in your outcome? This is good, or they call it in project management milestones. And we do a lot of projects, including helping business owners, but we do a lot of projects with bigger companies, and there's milestones, there's payment milestones. So, for instance, you have a revenue target you want to make. What's your milestone this month? You got a revenue target you're going to make for the end of the year. What's your milestone next month or next week? And you hit that. And if you don't hit it, guess what? You don't have to beat up yourself. You just go at it again. Every day is a blank slate. You could go at it again. So think about that for your outcomes. What is the by when for each of your outcomes? Making it very, very deliverable. And part of that will help you in that is writing it down. Begin by writing down. Write down everything. A life worth living is worth recording. Additionally, from a management standpoint, what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets changed. And think about writing it down. I just was with a client earlier today, and they wrote down some solutions that I told them to take a look at, and it just immediately illuminated a possibility for him that he hadn't thought about since writing it down. So writing it down again just creates clarity for yourself and creates points which you can actually manage, you can change, or more importantly, if you're a leader, you can delegate. You can delegate out and actually leverage other people to help you. Okay, this is one of my favorites. So again, will you ever get stuck? Well, if you're a human being, you'll probably get stuck at some time in your life. And and don't fear this. Don't shy back with this. Actually say, if you're stuck, go like, okay, here we go. It's a very exciting time because you know what's on the other side of being stuck is a breakthrough. On the other side of being stuck is awareness. And the reason why people get stuck, the reason why I get stuck sometimes, I realize, is that I am not leveraging resources. I'm not engaging resources that help me get beyond that. So I'm going to talk about some things that help you get unstuck. Whoops. First of all, let's look at what you actually feel when you get stuck. Yeah, I know. I think generally speaking, women can engage this conversation a little bit more. They're definitely aware of their feelings. Just the other day, I was asked, "So, what do you feel, Larry, about this?" And I said, "Well, I think that blah blah blah." And I noticed that I said, "I think," and they asked me a feel question. So men tend to think a little bit more when they're asked feeling questions. But here, for specifically, I'm talking to the gentleman here and maybe some women, but for the guys, it's important to actually point to what you feel. And sometimes you even point to your body. Actually, right now, if you have a feeling, press the part of your body where you have that feeling. Actuality in the physiological world, feelings show up in your body in different areas. And that's why I actually like to say that feelings are nothing more than trapped conversations. And what causes that feeling? And once you identify that feeling, it's coming from the physical universe or it's a trapped conversation. And this is not woo woo. This is just a known fact of how the body and the brain operate. So, for instance, as an example, when I get feeling frustrated, that means I'm off game. I'm off my vision or off what I said I would get completed today. When I feel frustrated, often it's my desk gets a little messy. So the feeling points to what causes me to get stuck is, and then you identify it. In my case, it could be a messy desk. If my desk is clean and I'm still feeling frustrated, it might be something else like that. And that something else shows up in the physical universe, shows up in front of your eyes and hands, and guess what? You can change it. But if you say like, oh, I don't want to say what I really feel like, feel angry, frustrated, or whatever, but you identify the feeling, then you look at where it's coming from in the physical universe, and then guess what? Your hands and feet can actually change that physical universe. So here's a couple strategies for getting unstuck. First of all, this is a fancy word, change state, which basically means change your body. Move your arms or stand up. I'm standing up right now, and you move your body. Often I notice sometimes when I'm coaching and my energy is getting low, and my client is telling me a really tough story, and I'm getting pulled down to it. I need to change my state. I need to be for that person in a way that they can actually get my energy. So I actually change my state, my physical state, which changes my mental state. Here's another way of getting unstuck is just energy, living at a level 7 or higher. I learned this from one of my mentors, and but think about if you're living level 7, so that's like a B or a C in school. It means your energy is going, it's consistent, it's intentional, you're making headway every day. A level 10 is like just the roof coming off the ceiling, and of course a level 1 or 2 is just you just like hardly even moving. I find that most people do not live at a level 7. So be consistent. be measurable. And here's another distinction around that: living at an energetic level is that the energetic level is going to look different every day. And also, it will look different. Your level 7 will look different than somebody else's level 7. Some other people might be more introspective, it might be quieter or analytical. And if you're an extrovert, your level 7 is like, way up there energy wise than their level 7. So the key thing about this is just continue to play in an intentional way. Ask world-class questions. They don't have to be complicated. They might be like this: what don't I see that if I did would move me forward? How can I create value today for my clients? How can I go beyond my comfort zone today? Who do I need to call today to actually generate more revenue? These are just world-class questions, simple questions, and taking action on this. Here's another one too, around appreciation is: remember, you have value. Never was and never will be anyone like you here again. Stay accountable. That means just like stay in association, stay in community with other business leaders, with other masterminders. Stay accountable. Our culture tends to hold accountability often as a way to point for punitive measures. Oh, you're to blame. As opposed to accountability is being with other people so they continue to hold you in the rigor of business. And if you're a business owner, a business leader, often that leadership can be lonely. So be sure to connect with other business leaders. You can absolutely send me an email, connect with me, and get on our mailing list so you can stay connected. Stay committed to your outcome. Again, commitment is a fantastic word that actually sends your body forward with the promises that you say will happen. Stay committed to your outcome no matter what happens. There's lots of levels, all the way from like I'd sort of like to do it, all the way up to the highest level of I'm going to do what it takes to make my outcome happen. Go back to home base. A lot of times you get lost and people get confused. You go, oh my God, okay, so what am I committed to today? What am I committed to in this month? Go back to home base. There are so many endless distractions in life and in business. You got to be very focused. Talking about Steve Jobs again, he said, I stay so focused that I say no to many, many, many things, but I say yes to the most important things to him. And so home base means you stay focused. And so those are just a few of the resources to help you get unstuck. So here we're going to wrap up for our session today, and really want to talk about the business mastery work review. So know what you're up to achieving. Very important. So if you're not clear about what you're doing, then the people you lead will be even more unclear. Or worse yet, they'll just make it up themselves. Who's going to go with you to help you achieve it? Again, we're talking about vision and mission, making your vision really magnetic and very exciting. I mean, you could be selling the simplest things, mattress handles or something like that. But if you make it exciting, it's like, how the heck are people going to pick up a mattress without what we create to make their life easier? So it's sort of a weird example, but it's the idea, just being excited about what you're doing. And if you're not excited about it, you may want to take a look at that. Have systems and processes that you can use. So this, as opposed to just shooting from the hip, going by intuition. So you want to put together systems and processes, and we have resources on our web at renaissanceworks.com to actually engage that process for you. Measure and stay committed to your times. So it's very easy just to slack off and to say, oh, I'm going to stretch it out. Stay committed to your time. You'd be surprised when you're committed what you can accomplish. You're going to do what it takes to make it happen. And find resources when you think you're stuck. What are the resources? You could use that list I mentioned earlier about resources that you can engage immediately. And there's like hundreds and hundreds of resources. Don't go it alone. What takes people out of the game sometimes, especially in leadership, is that they feel alone. They feel abandoned. Basically, it's like, I can't really turn to my employees to talk about them about all the struggles that I'm having. Get together with other business people. Get into a mastermind group. Don't go it alone and let it take you out of the game. You aren't alone. And a good way to have someone shoulder to shoulder with you is to give us an email here at success@renworks.com. I do this all the time with my clients and prospects, and people just call me up. So, my commitment is to have people succeed at business because you have value, your company has value, and it produces value for other people. So here's some mastery work. People call it homework, but it's mastery work because it's really about elevating your excellence. Review the video again because I guarantee that you will see things in here that you hadn't even thought about before. Do the work on the video and take specific action today. Nothing gets created if it wasn't for action. And share with your team. The highest level of learning is actually teaching your team. Teach them this video. Teach them what your mission, what you got clear on, and what they need to get clear on. Maybe you're leading a whole department. So the highest level of learning is actually teaching what you think you know. So if you found this useful, you got some nuggets from here, I believe you did, and you want to continue, we have some other Mastery Work webinars, go here to this website at www.ren-works.com/success to sign up for our success strategies and to get more connections with our webinars. And I'd like to end with this quote here, which is, mastery is not about being perfect, but about raising your level of excellence. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.